Hey class, today we're going to talk about soliloquies in Shakespeare, and this week you'll know you're doing soliloquies specifically with Hamlet. Now, soliloquies are both simple and complicated, and we're just going to start off with our objectives here today. You'll be able to identify a soliloquy and understand its purpose in drama. So you need to know why we're using a soliloquy. Why was it used in Hamlet? You will know why it is used instead of similar techniques such as monologues and asides. And to understand this objective, we also need to know what monologues and asides are, right? You will be able to analyze soliloquies for what they say about the character for its use in drama. And I'm going to show you this with a small example at the end. And you will learn some key terms such as diegetic, verisimilitude, monologue, and aside. These are words that you often see used around the main term, which is soliloquy. All right, what is the definition of soliloquy? Now, originally soliloquy just meant from the French word, it's a compound word of two French words, solo and elocute. All right, those are the two roots. So you know what solo means, alone, singular, by yourself, and elocution is like how you speak. So to speak to oneself is what it originally meant. But over time, it acquired this new meaning specific to drama. A poem, discourse, or utterance of a character in a drama that has the form of a monologue or gives the illusions of being a series of unspoken reflections. So we automatically know that a soliloquy is a type of monologue, but the reverse isn't necessarily true. There are monologues that are not types of soliloquies, and we'll get into that for a second. The other thing you need to know is they're unique to theater. We don't use them often even in movies, right? And if you look at the picture of the Globe Theater, which is most of the pictures that are going to be in this presentation today, you might figure out a little bit as to why. Monologues, which are often diegetic to the play, and are longer speeches by a singular character. Now, I'll get to what diegetic means in a minute. But a soliloquy is a type of monologue, but a monologue is not necessarily a type of soliloquy, because soliloquies are non-diegetic, and I need to explain what that means, right? Another thing you don't want to confuse them with is asides. Asides are briefer than soliloquies. They're said by characters and who the other characters don't. They're said by characters when the other characters don't hear what the characters are saying on stage to give you insight to their thoughts. They're very short speeches, and they provide insights to the audience to what the character is thinking. So the difference between a monologue and a soliloquy is a type of monologue, but a monologue is not necessarily a type of soliloquy, and that a soliloquy is longer than an aside. All right, what are they for? Well, even the best actors can't get all the emotions across all the time, particularly when the turmoil is going inside a character's head. You look at Hamlet, you look at Macbeth, there's so much going on in their brains. Therefore, it's not surprising the main purpose of the soliloquy is to tell you what the characters are feeling versus what they're showing. And they'll give you insight into other characters as well, and other insights into the character. So, for example, they show the state of mind. In King Lear, his soliloquy demonstrates to his audience that he's going crazy. In Hamlet, his soliloquies indicate that he's depressed and contemplating not just murdering his father, but also maybe committing suicide to avoid giving revenge. It gives crucial details. There are certain times when things happen off stage because it was a play and the stage was singular. And often you wouldn't even kill an actor on stage. You might need them to play another role, and they just have to lay there the whole time. So you'd have to give that information from a character's thoughts off the stage. And so a soliloquy can keep you up to date on current events in the story without having to show it to you and mess up the blocking of the play. It can also reveal plans that a character may have without showing them to you in the action of the play. You ever wonder why some people root for the villain? It could be because you understand them and their plans. Playwrights excel at showing you the mind behind a villain through a soliloquy, or behind an ambiguous character such as Hamlet or Macbeth through a soliloquy. And then the last thing is dramatic irony. Dramatic irony is the irony where you know what's going on as the audience, but everyone in the play or the piece of literature does not. Soliloquies really help with dramatic irony because they give thoughts to you, the audience, but not to the others in the play. All right, so diegetic. Diegetic is existing or occurring within a narrative rather than something external to that world. And the best example to understand this term is to think about music. When the characters in a movie or a play hear the music, it's diegetic, means it's happening in their world. But when you hear music and they don't hear it, it's non-diegetic, meaning it's for the audience only. And you can think of monologues versus soliloquies like this too. A soliloquy is non-diegetic. It's not heard by the other characters in the play, whereas a monologue is often diegetic. It is heard by the characters in the play, even if it's only one man speaking. I mean, the word monologue, mono, one, only, log, to talk, you can even hear it has some of the same roots as soliloquy, right? You know, like, no, log, liloquy, logo, logos, yeah. All right, and then the last one is verisimilitude. Now, this is a complicated word for very simple concept. Verisimilitude means true to life. And in real life, people don't go around telling you what they think. So one of the reasons why we don't see soliloquies used as much in television or in modern plays is it breaks verisimilitude. But in Shakespeare's time, they didn't care because you needed to know what was going on. And let me give you an example of a very short soliloquy. Now, this is actually from a longer soliloquy, and it's just barely long enough not to be an aside, but let's talk about what it does. Hamlet says in Act 5, Scene 5 of Macbeth, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace to pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, out, brief candle. Lies but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Now this is a more complicated soliloquy and one of the most famous of Shakespeare's, but let's talk about what it means. Macbeth knows that he's going to have to pay for all the stuff he's done, and his life is probably going to come to an end soon, and also it's a tragedy, and it's Act 5, and that's normally what happens in tragedies in Act 5, right? Everyone dies. So we're getting Macbeth's mental state, and his mental state here is nihilistic. He's given up that life has any meaning. Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Things go on and on and on. Doesn't it just sound exhausted? Creeps in this petty pace from day to day. I have to do the same stuff over and over and over again. I mean, this is like Macbeth saying it's a workaday world. To the last syllable of recorded time, we're going to hear this every day forever. And all your yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. This is a little bit more complicated, but everything we've done in the past is basically just leading us to the same thing, which is we die. Out, out, brief candle. I give up. I'll just let myself die. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player. Life is an actor who doesn't do it very well, who comes on, that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, that comes on the screen and chews scenery and doesn't do anything, and then is heard no more. And then he leaves the scene and we don't see him anymore. It's a tale told by an idiot. An idiot here doesn't mean stupid, or it does mean stupid, but it means disabled. And the old way of using an idiot didn't just mean like it wasn't just an insult. It was kind of an unkind word for disabled people. Full of sound and fury. Like people are very hyped up and mad and talking all the time, signifying nothing, but it doesn't matter. Right? This shows you how depressed and how tired Macbeth is, how he doesn't care, how he's given up all his beliefs. Even his ambition to be king doesn't matter anymore. Now, when you read Hamlet, you're going to see the same thing. Hamlet is a highly internalized character struggling with himself, and his soliloquies are going to reflect that. And I hope this helps you understand what is going to go on in the soliloquies you read in Acts 1 and 2 of Hamlet. Have a good day, guys.